Hi, I'm Christian Moser, 40 years in software. Right now I'm building AI-native systems and writing about what actually works in the real world. This is not a theory channel. Everything I talk about here is something I'm actively doing or actively testing. Welcome. A few weeks ago, I upgraded to the model everyone was excited about. The newer one, the better one. Better on every benchmark, higher on every chart. I swapped it in, expecting things to get better across the board. Within an hour, it broke something the old model had handled without a complaint for months. Not a hard thing. A simple tool call. The old model made that call correctly every single day. The new one invented a field in the schema that did not exist, filled it in confidently and handed the whole thing back malformed. I sat there for a second and just looked at it. The newer model, the better model, works exactly where it counted. The word better is doing a lot of quiet work in that sentence. When a new model ships, better means better on the benchmarks, better at the reasoning puzzles, better at the eval everyone screenshots, higher on the leaderboard. That is a real access. It just is not the only one. Because in production, I do not need it to win a reasoning contest. I needed to call a tool the same way every time. I needed to respect the schema I handed it. I needed to not invent a field because the field would have been convenient. Those are different skills, and better on the first one does not promise better on the second. This was not a one-off. I have watched newer models make more tool call errors, not fewer. Invent API fields that did not exist. Get worse at the boring mechanical thing while getting better at the impressive thing. Exactly what I had just watched on my own desk. So here's the distinction I've started making. Better model is a marketing axis. It is a number on the launch post. It is real, it is measured, and is genuinely improving, but it's measured on the things that make a good chart. Your production axis is a different line entirely. Your production axis is, does it do the specific job I wired it to reliably the way it did yesterday? That axis has an audience of one. You. Nobody benchmarks it. Nobody puts it on a leaderboard. It only exists inside your system. And the two lines are not the same line. A model can climb the first one and slip on the second at the very same time. When it does, the launch post tells you it got better, and your system quietly tells you it got worse. Both are true. They are just measuring different things. None of this is new. I've been swapping components under running systems long enough to know what the release notes always leave out. New compiler, new database version, new library that fixed the bug you reported and broke two things you were quietly depending on. The release notes always say better, and the release notes are written by the people who shipped it. The one thing 4 decades taught me is this. You never let the vendor's word for better reach production untested. The vendor measures better on their axis. Your measure is on yours. Those are not the same measurement, and only one of them is your problem. I do not upgrade a model because the chart went up. I upgrade it when it passes the tests that describe my job, not theirs. And this is the part I most want you to take with you. Nobody else could have called this one from me. Not the benchmark. The benchmark said better. Not the launch post. Not the leaderboard. Not another engineer's review. The regression lived in the exact shape of my tool calls, in my schema, in the boring contract between my system and the model. It was invisible everywhere except inside my own harness. That is the whole case for having one. A set of tests that exercise the model the way your system actually uses it. Not clever tests, boring ones. Does it call this tool with these fields? Does it respect the schema? Does it do the unglamorous thing the same way it did last week? When I swapped the new model in, that chute lit up inside an hour. Without it, it would have shipped the regression and heard about it from a user. The harness is not a nice to have. It is the only instrument that reads the axis you actually live on. So here's the shift. Stop reading. Newer is better everywhere. Newer is better on someone else's axis. Whether it's better on yours, it's a question only your own tests can answer. The benchmark is their measurement. The harness is yours. When a new model lands, the interesting question is not how high it scored. It is, did it stay solid on the boring things my system quietly depends on? And you cannot borrow anyone's answer to that. You have to run it. Last episode I talked about output that looks right and it isn't. This is the same shape one level down. A model that looks better and isn't where it counts. The tell is the same, the confidence surface and the one thing underneath that only you can check. So here's my question for you. What broke when you upgraded to the better model? The regression the benchmark never mentioned? Tell me. Those are the stories worth trading. Subscribe and come think with me. I'm Christian. See you next time.